Hello, Leigh Brennan. Welcome to my project about the Camino Santiago, Pasos del Camino, a project about the Camino and for the Camino. It is a really pleasure for me to have you here as an invited, and thank you so much for accepting this challenge. And I hope we'll have a really nice time here talking about the Camino.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be able to have a chance to chat with you. Thank you.
So, Lee, for starting, I will put playing for you to listen two different songs,
Okay.
and you have to connect them. They
Okay.
are they are very known songs, but they have a really strong connection to the Camino, or something about the Camino. So
Okay.
I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get what I'm adding. So
Okay.
I will put playing now first. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Lost from Coldplay, right?
Got it. Yes.
Next one. It's not this. This is just the song now.
Thank you by Alanis Morissette,
Exactly.
one of my favorite songs.
So, what have these songs have in common with the Camino Santiago?
Well, let's see. Alanis' song was in the movie The Way,
Yes.
and I don't recall that Coldplay song though being in
It
it.
was two. It was
Okay.
two.
All
So
right.
that's a connection.
Both are favorite songs, but yeah, I think Alanis' song is so memorable from that movie. So memorable. And I do love that Coldplay song as well.
Nice, really nice. And I have done this because I was hoping for you to get right. So thank you so much.
Oh, that was
So
fun. Thank you.
let's start. So can you share with us the moment where when you decided to walk the Camino and why you decided to walk the Camino for the first time?
Okay. I first learned of the Camino, I believe, through the movie The Way. And I saw it probably the very first year that it came out. And I was so intrigued by the entire movie. And I just kind of put it in the back of my mind that someday I would do that. And then a few years later, I was teaching yoga and indoor cycling at a gym. And one of my students was a doctor, and she went on the Camino. And the next time I saw her in class afterwards, she basically had changed her whole life. Like everything had transformed for her. And at that point, I'm like, oh, yeah, I definitely need to go do this. And so I put it again in the back of my head. I was busy raising my daughter and, really busy working and all of that. And so jump ahead a couple of more years. And I had always thought that I would probably go on the Camino with my husband and that we would probably do it in retirement. And that didn't happen because just a couple of years ago, we broke up, and it was a heartbreaking situation for me. And we had been married for over 20 years. And became an empty nester. And then we broke up a couple of months right after that, after our daughter went off to college. And I was really lost and felt like my life really had no future. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I was crushed. It just was so far from what I had planned that I just started becoming depressed. I didn't know what was going to happen next. And so one night I was at dinner with one of my friends, and we got to talking about bucket lists. And she brought up that she's always wanted to do the Camino. And I go, yeah, me too. I've always wanted to do that. And so she said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't told you this. And I said, oh, what? And she said that she's a therapist, and she said one of her good friends is a therapist, and she was getting ready to take a group of women who were going through some type of life change on the Camino, and she had a couple of openings still for people to go. And she's like, you ought to check it out. And so I immediately went home and I called her friend and we talked about it. And that night I signed up and decided I was going to do it. And so that's what prompted me. I almost backed out probably 4 times, literally phone in hand or typing the email to cancel, because I had always envisioned that my Camino was going to be with, my former husband, that we were going to be doing it as a celebratory kind of thing. It was going to be kind of like a vacation. And instead, I felt like, oh, this is not at all how I had imagined it. I'm instead going as a broken person, and I don't want to do this broken. But of course, all of my friends and all of my family members kept saying, no, 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 you need to go, you need to go. And I knew that in my heart, but I was very scared. Although my husband and I and my daughter, we had traveled the whole world, I had never really traveled by myself internationally. And so I was very nervous about that. And of course, wasn't at my best with the broken heart. And so I went, and it was the best thing I have ever done, aside from having my daughter. So I'm so grateful that I took that trip. It completely changed my life in every way.
Thank you for sharing this. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. So, weird question.
Okay.
If you could turn back time to and go back to your best moment on the Camino, which moment? What moment?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. Probably one of my favorite moments. You know how you just make a connection with people as you're walking, and it's so powerful. And one day I was walking by myself. I spent a lot of time walking on my own because I wanted to have my solitude and really process what was going on in my life. And I'm a pretty fast walker, and so I started kind of increasing my pace, and I caught up to these 3 guys, and it was 2 young guys and an older gentleman, and I was behind them for a while, and they were singing and just having a really great time, and they had no idea I was behind them. And so I followed them for a bit, and then it got to a point where I was getting too close to them, so I had to, kind of make the pass, even though we were on a narrow path. And as I caught up to them, I looked over, and we just kind of started talking, as you do, and we just hit it off. And the next thing I know, I'm singing with them, and they're singing to me. And so that turned into us singing I'm Going to Be by the Proclaimers.
Oh my God.
And so we sang that together. And so they were 2 brothers, and they were walking with their dad. So they were from North Carolina. And it was just magical. The dad filmed us as we sang I'm Going to Be, and the 3 of us were walking, and as he was filming us. And then finally, we had been together quite a while, several miles. And I said, well, I'm going to take off. I need to get to the next town a little bit faster. And so they said, well, we're going to serenade you as you go. And so they decided what song they were going to serenade me with. And so they serenaded me with the song Forever Young by Alphaville.
Oh my God.
And
you just want to say some of my favorite songs.
oh yeah, I was going to say, it was I got chills right now. It was such a magical moment. And so as they were serenading me, I turned around and I filmed them, and I walked backwards. And so I've got this video of these 2 guys and their dad literally singing to me Forever Young. And it was just, to me, it contained every bit of the magic of the Camino, right? That immediate connection with fellow Camino walkers. We joked around with each other that had I walked into a Starbucks and they had been at Starbucks or a coffee shop, we probably wouldn't have talked at all, right? But instead, as I'm on the Camino, we had this immediate connection. I know their life stories, they know mine. And it was such a special bonding moment, and I'll never forget it. So it was one of my favorite. I have many favorites, but that's one of my favorite. You can see them if you go on my Instagram. There's a video.
I will watch that. So I guess we on the Camino, we aren't. Let me explain. So on the Camino, we are um, out of the Camino, we are this, we are that, we are that. On the Camino, we aren't. On the Camino, we are pilgrims and nothing more.
Mm.
And that is the Camino. So on the Camino, we are always the same.
Yep.
So following. Um, you also have a project about the Camino, two different, the yoga and the Camino and the
Yep.
Camino Cafe. Can we share with us what they about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a yoga teacher. That's my profession. And I've taught classes for quite a long time. And when I trained for the Camino, of course, I was doing a lot of yoga. And then when I actually took my Camino, every morning I had some yoga that I was doing. Midday, I did some yoga. And of course, when I would arrive back to the albergue, I would do some more yoga. I also taught yoga to the group that I was with, both casually as well as organized classes. And I saw firsthand how helpful doing yoga was for all the pilgrims in my group and for myself. And so when I got home from my Camino, I decided that I've had a great career teaching at studios. I owned a little studio for a while, and I just decided that I saw the power of yoga and I saw the power of pilgrimage. And I thought that, there was an opportunity for me to serve and to offer those services to other people who are going through changes in life. And so I came back, I started a company with one of my friends, and we were getting ready to take people on tour, and that's when the virus happened. So we didn't get to go yet, but we hope that we will begin taking tours again next year. So that's my yoga connection. And I'm sorry, what was the other question?
The Camino Cafe.
So anyway, when I was actually in London taking some training to be able to better serve the people that were going on Camino with me. So I was taking training for Ayurvedic yoga massage, and immediately following that, I was headed to Santiago, had my plane tickets. I was going to do a couple of walks just on my own, some shorter ones out to Finisterre and to Murcia for Easter. And of course that got canceled because of Corona. And I had two other ones planned as well for later in the summer. But anyway, I of course had to come back to the United States when everything happened, and came home, and I was so disappointed because I had really planned for all of 2021 pretty much be Camino centered, and that was going to be my life, both what I did personally as well as what I did professionally. So I felt like I was really grounded at home, and I did not want to lose my Camino spirit. I didn't want to lose my connection to the Camino. And so I started a community with my friend called the Camino Cafe, and it's a community that's on Facebook. And it was just kind of something we talked about one night, and we started it up, and it's been growing up. Started as a way for me to stay connected, but it's grown to be something way more. We have a Camino book club, so we read a book a month about the Camino, and we get together and discuss it. Many times we have the authors come and talk about their books during the meeting. We also offer Spanish lessons, conversational Spanish, and that's offered by Maria Seco. She does Spanish for the Camino, and so she comes once a month and does a lesson for our group. And then we also do a happy hour where we just get together and we talk about things we love about the Camino. And then a lot of times I do kind of just exactly what we're doing. I will interview a fellow pilgrim and we'll talk about their experience, trying to give everybody a voice for their Camino so that we can talk about it, but also to inspire others who are thinking about going and to help build their confidence that they're very capable of completing their own pilgrimage. So that's what the Camino Cafe does. What it's done for me personally is it has expanded my Camino family. So I feel like since my Camino, I have so many friends that pretty much everybody I talk to at this point has something to do with the Camino, I feel like. And, there are the people that I walked with, there are the people that I met along the way, but now also I have this additional connection with the people in my group, as well as some other groups that I'm involved with. So I feel like my family just keeps expanding for the Camino. And I truly, just like how you and I met, it's like all these things keep happening. And I truly know that these connections are going to keep growing. And I can't wait to get back because I have this feeling that at some point I'm going to meet a lot of these people actually on the Camino. And I think that's going to be just a fantastic moment.
I hope to meet you on the Camino. Or you doing the Camino and now I will get you and to pay you some things. I don't know, but I guess the people from Seattle like a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Another talk for later. But will be my pleasure to receive you and to
Thank
hear.
you.
It's really, really amazing. So,
Well,
in your opinion, how can yoga uh, improve a better pilgrimage, and not just on pilgrimage, on a daily basis? How can yoga improve a life?
oh my gosh, in so many different ways. The first way I would say is that, it gives you that time to ground and to get recentered in life. I think that's one of the reasons we go on pilgrimage, is to have that time where we can be in solitude and to get back in touch with who we are without all the stress in our life. So yoga gives you that opportunity each time you come to the mat. It's much shorter than doing a pilgrimage, but it can have a mini uh, expression like you would have on the Camino. So I think it's good for your mind, your heart, your soul. And of course, it's great for your body from a functional fitness perspective. You are able to make sure that your body is moving in the ways that it needs to move, that you are better able to perform the activities that you want to do on a daily basis, like walking or any other fitness activity that you want to do. I kind of consider it, for a lot of people who don't do yoga, I think that they're missing out, because I think yoga provides for you the ability to have more longevity with your athletic pursuits, because it's keeping your body in good shape, and you're staying healthy. And you also get to learn a lot about your body and know, hey, like something's not right. Maybe I need to take a break. Um, it's just, you really tune into your body and know what's going on with it. As far as on a daily basis, for the Camino, I think it's a great cross training activity to do. So I recommend for everybody to be doing some type of yoga before they go. And then while you're actually out on the Camino, it's a great way to have a ritual throughout the day, so that you are, one, getting back to that mindful place while you're actually walking, but also to take care of your body from a physical standpoint. So, I had a certain morning ritual that I would do every morning when I woke up, that was yoga related and mindfulness related. And then at around lunchtime, right after I would have lunch, I would do a few more stretches, a few more yoga poses then. And then when I would get back to the albergue in the afternoon, I would again do some stretching. And then right before bed, I would do some restorative yoga, just to help me relax and to make sure that I was going to be ready the next day. So I'm also trained on myofascial massage, which is like rolling with the therapy balls. And so I also took those with me, and I highly recommend that as well, because it's so important to keep your feet really well taken care of as you're walking all those miles, as well as the rest of the muscles in your lower body are so important, as well as the upper back from carrying, the backpack. So I can't say enough about the combination of having yoga with the walking. I think it can help you make sure that you have the best experience that you can have out there. And I think the healthier that you can be as you're walking, the more success that you're going to have as far as getting from town to town, and hopefully become aware if you have an injury and maybe need to take a day off. You're going to be much more in tune with your body if every morning you're stretching and you start noticing like, hey, something's not right with my foot. Maybe I need to take a break tomorrow. So it just kind of provides that pause each day for the pilgrim to really assess, how am I doing and what's going on? And then I think the mindfulness element is so important. I encourage everyone to have rituals throughout their walking, to be doing some type of a mindfulness activity. It could be something like praying the rosary. It could be doing a walking meditation. It could be a variety of things. But I think it's very important that you take the time and actually be where you are while you're walking, versus always listening to music or always talking to someone. I think there does need to be that element of solitude where you can really get back and reconnect to who you are. And I believe that those minutes that you spend in yoga each day remind you, like, oh, okay, yes, I do have a destination to get to the next town and I need to follow the arrows, but I also need to be mindful and enjoy this journey. It's not just about going from point A to point B, it's about that journey between those two spots. And how do I want to be today? Do I want to be in solitude, or is this a day that maybe I want to have a little more socializing? How do I want to present myself? Do I want to be more accepting of the fact that it's raining? Do I want to be more kind today as I meet fellow pilgrims, or whatever intention you might be bringing to that day? Taking that pause with yoga in the morning and then again in the afternoon around lunchtime gives you that chance to kind of just check it back in with yourself and to remember why you're doing the walk in the first place, overall, as well as for that particular day.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. I guess the people who will watch this will be very curious about, and may they will start doing yoga
I
or
hope,
doing yoga on the Camino.
yes.
Thank you so much. So now let's go for the main point of our talk.
Okay.
Um, can we share with us some stories, some experiences that you enjoyed a lot while walking that they were special for you?
Mm.
Anything that you can remember?
Oh, so many. I think the part that two things that I will say is that, when I went, I was probably very close to being seriously depressed and really felt like I was losing my inner light. And um, one day, this is a very simple thing, but it was very profound for me. And I was walking alone and I was in a heavily wooded area, very narrow path. And I was walking along, and all of a sudden, I realized that I was smiling again. And I felt complete joy. And that joy wasn't because of anything external, it was all internal. And I think for the first time, I felt my inner light really glowing again. And in that moment, I knew that I could find happiness again, that I was going to have moments of great happiness again, that I just had to be patient. But I knew now it was possible. And it was such an awakening for me after what I had been through. So that would be one. Another one would be that really stands out to me is there's a little ashram. I call it an ashram. It's like a little hippie place. I think it's between Tria Castella and I'm not sure what the next town is off the top of my head, but anyway, I had stopped there and had been there for quite some time. But before I got there, I had been walking and I was having a particularly tough morning and was just feeling really sad. And as I was walking, I looked down and I noticed right in the middle of the path was this heart-shaped rock. And it was just like this little stone. And I picked it up and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And so I picked it up, kind of looked at it, and I'm like, oh, it kind of represents love. And I placed it in my pocket and didn't really think a whole lot about it. And kept walking, eventually got to the little ashram, spent a lot of time there, met some really fun people, and decided that I probably better get back on the road. And so as I was leaving there, they told me that they had built a labyrinth, and I love labyrinths. And so it was just right off the path. And so I decided I was going to walk it. And so a couple of people that I was walking with at that point, they're like, "Are you crazy? You're adding more time to your walk today?" But I'm like, no, I'm not going to pass the labyrinth up. If there's a labyrinth, you need to walk it. And they said, no, they were going to go on. I'm like, okay. So I went on the labyrinth. And so as I'm walking the labyrinth, I'm just doing a walking meditation. And when I get to the center, I notice, as is traditional on the Camino, of course, there are always a lot of places where you're leaving stones, right?
Yeah.
Releasing your burdens. And so I noticed that people had left stones in the middle of the labyrinth. And I thought, oh, I should leave a stone as well. I'll leave that heart one that I found this morning. And so I reached into my pocket to pull it out. And when I pulled the rock out, it literally had cracked in half. And I just stood there thinking to myself, this couldn't be more representative of what's happening to me, right? My heart has been cracked. And so it was that moment in itself was just kind of magical in a way. And, I felt like, there was a voice speaking to me in that moment. And so I laid the rock down and got back onto the path. And as I'm walking, I'm thinking, wow, this is healing my heart. This is what I've got to do. And I'm glad I'm here. And I probably hadn't gone more than a quarter of a mile. And all of a sudden, again, in the center of the path is another heart-shaped stone. And this time it's big. It's in my room actually right now. But it's big. It's like probably like this big and really substantial. And it was the only, like everything else was just dirt around it, right? It was the only rock. And so I bent down, I picked it up, and I just kind of picked it up and I placed it on my heart. And I thought, you know what? My heart's going to be stronger after this Camino. It might have been cracked at some point, but, as Leonard Cohen says, that's where the light gets in. And I really felt like in that moment, it gave me the inspiration. I really felt like the Camino was speaking to me. St. James was showing me, yeah, you might have come with a broken heart, but we're going to lay that down. And now we're going to pick back up and you're going to go home a stronger woman. You're going to go home feeling more whole. And so that was a really special moment for me. Beyond that, I would say the people that I met. Even the people that I only spoke to for a few moments, I know without a doubt that St. James, God were speaking to me, because every single person I met had a message, right? They would think that they were just telling me their story, or they might share advice with me, but it was amazing how those stories progressed as my time progressed. So much so that, in fact, some of the people I met along the way, I don't know what I would have done without them this past year during the pandemic. I mean, we're still in touch, and they have been instrumental in helping me navigate the fact of being grounded back in the US and, not getting to go back to the Camino as I had planned. And I think that I've been a support for many of them as well. But I just feel like the Camino can open your eyes to the fact that there are miracles happening around us all the time, and that there are messages coming to us all the time on and off the Camino. But when we're on the Camino, we are in a more open state. We're not as busy and we see them more readily. And then when you get back home, you start noticing they're still happening. And I think that's why so many of us want to go back, because we want to have that time where we can have that dedicated time to see that and to experience it even more deeply than what we tend to do when we're at home in our regular lives. So I would say those would be my things that are most memorable to me.
That's why the Camino is so important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very anxious to get back. I think this year has been, very challenging for all of us. And I think we all have new things to process, and I want to go back and serve. I want to go back and volunteer. Just from a volunteering perspective, I also very much want to go back and lead some groups to help people process changes they're going through. But I also want to take my dad, who will be 75 this year, and go with him on Camino, as well as with one of my best friends. And I hope that happens.
And what they were the people like, the people that you met on the Camino?
Oh my gosh. People are at their best because they are who they are in their hearts. And I think we all know this. I mean, we're taught this, is that people are good in their very nature, right? we're all good people. We're just capable sometimes of doing things that
I
aren't so
agree.
nice. But deep down, we're all good people. And I think when you're out on the Camino, you see the best side of people. You see who they are. You see their light. You know, they walk up to you and you can just feel their energy and you can see all that's good of them. It's just all that's good in them is so on the surface that you can just feel it. And everyone I met, like I said, it was like the person after person that I met just had a message from me. And I'll just give you a very simple story, but on one of the very early days, there were some cyclists that were cycling past and they were stopping. They cycled past as they were getting ready to stop their cycling for the day. And uh, one of the guys, as he came by, I just kind of looked over and smiled at him. He smiled back, and then he said something to me in Spanish. And I don't speak Spanish. I'm trying to learn, but I had no idea what he said to me. And so I just smiled and gave him a thumbs up or something, you know, because they looked like they had been riding a lot of miles. And so that was that. But he kept trying to keep talking to me, but I had no idea what he was saying. And so I felt really sad because I'm like, I should really learn how to speak Spanish. So I am trying to learn. So anyway, later that day, I was with some other pilgrims and we were standing outside of a restaurant or cafe, and he walked up and he tried to talk to me again, and he was trying to give me something, but I did not understand at all what he was saying. And so one of the pilgrims that I was with, one of my friends, she turned to me and she said, oh, you know, she started talking to him, so she knew what he was saying. And then he handed me this little like lapel pin, and it was of a Camino cyclist. And so he handed it to me, he smiled, and he walked off. And at that moment, my friend turned to me and I could tell like they were kind of giggling like schoolgirls, right? And she's like, I think he was flirting with you, but here's what he said. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, he just wanted you to know that he was exhausted when he got to this town. And the fact that the fact that you recognized him and smiled at him, and he wanted you to know that when you smiled at him, it gave him the strength and the courage to ride again tomorrow. And he wanted you to have this Camino pin just to remember, you know, to smile at people and that the gift that you have kind of thing. And it just really touched me because at that point, I hadn't had that moment yet of that spontaneous joy. But it was a moment where I remember that, you know, we can give a gift to somebody that is really small, just like a smile. And you just never know what your kindness, something as simple as saying hi or smiling at them, how that can turn somebody's day around. And so I felt like it was just a really special moment. And I feel like all of the pilgrims that I met along the way, that kept happening. And it was almost like they were put in my path. One of the most special pilgrims that I met, you know, was literally on the path as I crossed and has become just a tremendous, tremendous person in my life. And it just amazes me even to look back that all of those things happen.
Don't make me cry. I'm starting to cry. I have a really, really
I'm gonna
story with an angel that appears to me in person on my worst moment on every Camino. And like you said, today we are really, really good friends. We are not even better friends because I live in Portugal and he lives in Spain, but we talk almost every day.
Same.
1 second.
Oh, yes, it's like that. Do you have one that has,
Maybe
it's like a little cyclist.
this one.
It's round and it's got a little bike in the center.
No, I guess it's like I had to because my first Camino, but I guess I lost it. Or I
It was,
lost it because I had it's not something not like this. No, this is not this. What it is?
It's round, it's white, and it's got like a blue bicycle in the center.
Oh no, I don't have. I had two from different bike, but that one I don't have. But I have like this big collection of it because I am really a big fan.
Oh,
Uh,
I love it. I love it. Oh
they
my
are
God.
they aren't all about the Camino, but most of them they are. And
Yeah.
every Camino I bring like a collection. Every Camino that I done, I really love this.
Oh, I love it. Let me see if I can grab it real quickly, and that way I can show it to you.
Okay. Tem mais cheiro. Tem que estar mais. Sometimes.
I don't want to make it too long. I may have to find it a little bit later because I don't see it.
No problem.
But anyway, it's a little round one, and it's got the cyclist in the center. It's normally in this little bag, so now I'm disturbed that it's not in here. So that's what I'll be looking for right after our call.
So, I have a talk. Any of them that stick out to your head that you want to mention?
As far as
So if there are any pilgrim that you want to
oh my God.
mention.
Oh yeah. Well, I would probably say, oh my goodness, so many. So Pam and Cynthia and Beth and Marnie and Judy, Lori, Amy, Cindy, Michael, Jim, Sean. Gosh, I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. I'm gonna feel bad if I forget someone. Cece. And then since I've been back, I would throw in some very important people, Corey, Kurt and Susan, Annie, Michelle, Robert. The list goes on. Now you, I will add you to the list. Bradley, and everybody at the Camino Cafe and everybody at the Pilgrimage and Place community. It's just been a tremendous year. And I know, as sad as I am that I haven't been able to go back on the Camino, I know that I've also received a lot of gifts and getting to meet so many people that I wouldn't have met had it not been for Zoom and being able to meet people virtually. And so I think there are grateful things that have happened this year, but I certainly hope that we all get back on the Camino as soon as possible when it's safe for everybody.
It is. Thank you. Now, following, and what was the feeling of arriving in Santiago?
Oh, so special. I waited for friends so that we would walk through the tunnel together, down the steps. And so it was just such a special moment to hear the bagpiper as we were waiting. I still cry.
Feels again.
Yes, I still cry hearing that every time. You'll see people's videos of showing that on Instagram or Facebook, and it just gets to me every time. I love Gaelic music, so I'm very attracted to bagpipes anyway. So hearing the Gaelic music is fantastic. But anyway, walking into that square for the first time was pure magic. I mean, just pure magic and elation, satisfaction, a confidence booster. We had made it. kind of feeling. And so that was phenomenal. Like I have photos of it, but I don't need to look at a photo. I can remember every moment of that. And then I would say the next moment that was so big for me was later in the day, going in and being able to walk and touch the statue of St. James was really something. And I stayed in Santiago that time, I think just for like 2 nights. So I kept going back to the square after. And then I went back in December. I finished my Camino in September, and then I went back in December. And it was very magical to be in Santiago again so quickly after, and to experience the city during Christmas and to see it lit up with the Christmas lights, all around the square, and to go see what is Tuna de Reccio, I think is the name of the band that plays there. It's the guys that play right across from the cathedral.
Oh, I know. I listened to them in 2020. It was really
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And so to see them and to really take my time in Santiago was really magical. And I can't wait to get back. I would love to live there someday, as probably every pilgrim dreams of
Me
living in
too. Me
the
too.
state. Yeah. So hopefully someday maybe I'll get that dream.
Let me just show you something. I'm searching here on my phone. It's a moment. Yeah. Okay, okay. Okay. Where it is, where it is. No. No, I don't have. Sorry. Maybe on Facebook. I guess there is on Facebook, but why I don't have this on Instagram?
I know. It's always when you want to find something, right?
It's on Facebook, but it's easy. It's difficult to find. No problem. I will. My idea is to show you a picture of me hugging Santiago,
Oh, I would love it.
but I will find it.
Send it to me later.
It is one of my best moments, and actually, the people don't know, but it isn't possible to take pictures of that moment. But I was smart, and I told to the people that was behind me to take me a picture very quickly, and it was really really special for me. Uh, that's I'm really devoted to him. It's my saint. It's my faith. It's my faith. Um, if
Oh, out of two pilgrims, I need to mention Terry and Julie.
that's nice, you remember. If you have, if anything in the world, some for magic, you have to do always the same day, and you are walking the Camino Santiago, and you have to walk the same stage every day, the same day, what stage will be?
Hmm. I would say it was a magical day for me because of the people I met. It would be walking from Melede, Melide,
Melide, yes.
yeah, Melide, to Azura. I would redo that day.
Amazing. Leigh, we are almost finishing our conversation, but one question before we finish our talk. What would you tell to someone that never walked the Camino Santiago?
I would tell them to go. No matter what's going on in your life, I think a pilgrimage can transform your life. And, we all have things that we're dealing with, and it's such an amazing opportunity to process and to get back to who you are at your core. And I don't think we really get enough opportunity to do that for prolonged periods of time in the way that you get to on a pilgrimage. You know, there's a reason that our ancestors all went on pilgrimage, because it works. And you do need to go with an open mind, and to know the very first day it was the day before I started walking. I met a pilgrim and he said something very smart. And I remembered this my entire walk was, the Camino doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you need.
It is. It is really like that.
Yes. And so, you know, to go with an open mind that, yes, you are going to go there and you're going to process, but you may not process what you expected to process. And, you know, the Camino is going to show you what you need, and it's going to give you what you need. It provides. And you know, those sayings about the Camino, they're sayings because they're true. And, you know, just trust and go. Just trust. And if, you know, if it's the first time you've traveled internationally by yourself, or if you, particularly if you're worried about walking on your own, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever, young or old, the Camino will provide and it will take care of you. And people you would never think could complete the Camino do. And I felt extremely safe there. I wouldn't hesitate to go back. And so
The Camino provides.
absolutely, absolutely. And I hear story after story since coming back. You know, like I witnessed it. I saw it for myself. I saw it with my fellow pilgrims. But even being back, the stories that I'm hearing from people that I talk to or interview, there's too many stories. It's surreal. And I want everybody to go. You know, I want to shout from the rooftop, like, go on a Camino, you got to do it. But if somebody's feeling the calling, I really encourage them to listen and go.
So, Leigh, we already finished. Thank you so much for doing this. Me, it was a really, really amazing talk.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I want to know, I want you to tell you that you have a friend in me, a
Ah,
new friend, and I hope we'll meet soon enough when it was safe. And I hope to receive you and to share something with you because you are amazing. Thank you so much.
oh, thank you so much. Manuel. You have a friend here in Seattle, so please come and visit when you can, when it's safe. And I will definitely come your way. Hopefully my dad and I, when we're walking the Portuguese, we will be able to come by and see you and meet you in person. And I'm sure we will. These connections happen for a reason. So thank you so much. And thank you. You know, every time that we each get to tell our story is another moment of healing, right? When we can share and talk about what's happened, what our experience has been. And so thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice what I've experienced. And if it only encourages one other person in the world to go, then it's worth the share. So I appreciate you talking to me and giving me this chance.